Welcome to the Pulse on Human Design, or welcome back if you're a regular listener. I appreciate you. Today, I have a super special guest for you that you're going to be so excited to meet. David Roman is a 5-1 reflector, and I know how we love our reflectors here in this human design space, and I do truly feel honored to get to talk to you today here, David. So thank you for being here.
Hi, Vicky, and thanks for having me on.
So you are a brand positioning specialist. You help
Yeah,
people build brands that actually fit in the marketplace and stand out, correct?
yes, that's it. I've been in the marketing space for over a decade, while building some of my own brands as well. And I've worked with all sorts of different businesses, business sizes, types, and stages of business. And I realized after doing so much work that one of the biggest issues that people have is that their business isn't positioned correctly in the market. And the go-to solution for more people is to drive more eyeballs, just pour more money into the top of the funnel. Let's just get the word out there even more. Like, let's just be busy on social media and hope for the best. And I learned that clear strategic positioning actually unlocks the next level of growth for a lot of these businesses, not sheer force.
So, what is brand positioning? How would you describe that?
So, sorry. The difference between creating a brand and positioning a brand is the difference between thinking about what you like, what your experiences are, how you want to design your brand, your fonts, your colors, and so on. So all of that is you creating your brand. And then positioning comes into place when you think about where this brand fits into the marketplace and how people relate to it. How do people understand who you are, what you're about, and why you specifically can help them? So when we're working on your positioning, we want to understand what makes you unique and how you specifically can help a very specific type of person. And then all the marketing or the activities that follow from there need to have this underlying message that comes from your positioning.
So, how do you determine your brand position?
There's a framework that I developed that I take my clients through, and there's actually a lot out there. So there's other frameworks out there. I just found that for people in the service industry, coaches, consultants, experts, a lot of these well-known frameworks don't really apply because they're designed for either physical products or products that are separate, faceless, or separate from the person. Whereas in this space, you, the person, are the product.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually more difficult to look inwards and determine what makes you unique. It's much more difficult than looking at an object and understanding how that plays into the world. It's the whole human experience comes into that. All our blind spots, all our or the fears or the things we don't want to address. And a lot of the times, the most special magic hides in those places that we don't want to show anyone, that we try to like hide away. And the process that I developed addresses through human design the person as an individual and then builds their positioning based on that.
I forgot to tell people that you are human design informed, human design trained. So that's a really big benefit, I think, to anything that we're doing in our businesses is really leaning hard into our human design. And as you know, you're speaking to a second line. So that bit about not understanding our own genius, it's real, but I think it's real for all of us in the online space.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, the two lines are my tribe anyway. So I deeply understand um, you guys, and I am happy to reflect back to you, which it's actually such a nice pairing between someone who is blind to their genius and someone who naturally reflects that back to people. And it comes with a 5-1 um, 5-1 profile, which is very much straight to the point. You may not like it. You may not agree with everything that I say, but I'm going to keep it real. That's for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, and I have had that personal experience. I do truly feel honored because, as we know in the human design space, everyone loves reflectors and everyone thinks, I mean, reflectors are magical, but we're all magical. But I do feel because I've gotten to work with you on my own brand positioning and it's made a big difference. And I think it is the combination of, so you do some exercises that other people do in the regular marketing space. But because you do them with a human design spin, it goes so much deeper into your actual gifts and genius. And then it helps me to actually stand in that. Whereas when I tried to do those exercises in the bro marketing space, they just didn't land. Human design makes it magical.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Um, there's actually a stat out there that 93 or 96% of communication is nonverbal.
Mm,
So that means that our energy, the body, the unconscious, actually carries a lot of the weight of the message.
mm,
And when you would do like traditional personality assessments or um, even just normal positioning, a lot you're using your mind very much like your mind is your personality. So
mm,
you're using just a fraction of your design to understand yourself to and to communicate your product. Whereas when we work with human design and we see the person as a whole, the whole energetic being, um, it it makes this work much more deeper and much more personalized. Um, and as I was saying before, because this is specific to the service industry, any sort of personal services, the way you deliver the message, the way you deliver your product also plays a big part. So, again, that's something that can be informed by your human design as well.
mm. And I love that you said that because we've had these conversations before around the fact that you're a 5-1, I'm a 2-4, and we will reflect back to each other. Like it's so different in the way that we show up in our businesses. And that has to be, there's no one size fits all. It has to be okay for you to show up as your 5-1 and me to show up as my 2-4. And it has to look different. Not only that it can look different, it needs to look different if you're going to succeed in business.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and what's interesting is that even if you know this information, having somebody else to work with to bounce these ideas off is so helpful because it's the effect of trying to read the bottle from inside the jar,
Mhm.
trying to read the label from inside the jar. And even though we may study all the same information, the way we bring it out and even intuitively in the moment, like what comes up may be very much connected to what that person needs to hear in that specific moment. So 100% we definitely need each other.
Mhm. Yeah. So if for someone listening and say that they're wondering, like, oh, this brand positioning thing, do I do that in my business? And maybe I'm missing the mark. How do they know that they're having a brand positioning problem?
There's three telltale signs actually that I identified that makes me realize when someone has a positioning issue, and you can identify them for yourself. So the first one is that you have to keep explaining to people what you're not.
Mm.
So, for example, in my fine art business, I was painting athletes and so on. So I called myself a sports artist. And my paintings actually had a lot more meaning to that. They had, some deeper philosophical ideas behind it. I just, wasn't sure how to integrate it. So whenever I was speaking to someone new about my business, I would say, I'm a sports artist, but I'm not, I'm not, it's not this commercial stuff. I'm a sports artist, but I'm not XYZ. So what I've realized over the years is that rather than stating your category and then saying, but
Mm.
correcting yourself and then stating the second category, just lead with the correct category to begin with. So, um, whatever it is that you do in your business, if it's a niche or if it's like a combination of multiple things, you need to get to the bottom of the correct category that your business would be associated with, rather than saying, I'm a yoga teacher, but I don't, it's not really yoga. It's, breath work with something, something else. So that's the first one. The first telltale sign is that you get clients, but each client wants help from you with different things.
Mm.
Um, so this is usually for people who are a bit more advanced. So you may have made it to your six figures. So getting clients is not an issue. It's just it holds you back from scaling because the services you provide are so diverse that you can't really group or bring in streamline processes. And the third one is when you have clients who've worked with you that say something along the lines of, I didn't expect this to happen. And it may
Mm.
even be something really positive, like I hadn't, it blew me away. I didn't expect to have this transformation. And the reason why that's a positioning issue is because the biggest transformation that someone has after working with you should not come as a surprise. Let me repeat that. The biggest transformation, the most exhilarating thing that someone experiences should not come as a surprise, like as a side effect of somebody working with you. That is gold. That needs to be picked up and be put front and center of your messaging and of your business. And then at the same time, if it's negative, then you need to seriously have a look at how you're delivering your services.
I
So if you identify with any of these three, I think it's time to look at your positioning and start asking questions of if how you think you're portraying your business is how people actually perceive it. Sorry, Vicky.
It's okay. I was laughing because that was one of the biggest things that you said to me. I've had it actually reflected back to me twice in my business that people were saying, I had no idea that you would go this deep into this. I had no idea. And you really pulled out of my own human design, which I should know, but it's hard to see ourselves, like you pointed out. So I had to really start, or I get to really start in my messaging, bringing in the depth that is here, which is something that I just kind of thought that everybody did. So, yeah, I love how you're bringing that up.
Absolutely. And that can be such a magnetic piece of your messaging because the people who value that is going to be like, oh my God, drop everything and run to the checkout point right now. And people who don't want that, who would be put off by that mid, halfway through working with you, are just going to know it up front and are just going to be like, not for me, and save both of you the energy.
And that is an important part of your brand positioning as well, that you actually repel the people you're not here for.
100%, yes.
which entrepreneurs find scary.
Here's the thing, you can't help everyone in the world
Mhm.
with the best intentions. Even if you're a charity with like millions of dollars of backing behind you, you can't help everyone. And this ties into what we were saying before, that we all need each other. We all fill in a specific piece of the puzzle. We don't need to complete the whole puzzle by ourselves. It's okay to let other people fill in other pieces of the puzzle. And actually trying to do more than um, what your actual zone of genius is can actually backfire against you.
Mhm. So let's say that you think that you have a good brand position. You think you've built this personal brand and it's absolutely magical and you're in love with your brand, but something's off, or you think something's off because people keep coming close, 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 close. They get so close to you and then they back off and they don't actually hire you. Why does that happen?
So this is actually what I was just referring to. And the way I see is especially for line two people who just cannot make peace with the fact that whatever comes easiest to them is worth the big bucks. And as a result of that, they keep adding on bonuses and extra bits and dingle a little bit here and a freebie over here and a stack of recordings over here and that over there. So when someone reaches a checkout and sees all of these things, you would think it appears as having more value, but in reality, it signals that your core offering on its own is not that valuable. So you need to add on all these bells and whistles to justify the price. And it also dilutes the power of your core thing. And an example I would like to give here is um, say you just got married to the love of your life and you want to go to Vegas to celebrate for your honeymoon, right? And the Adele show is on. Adele, world renowned singer, beautiful, classy, it's just love songs, perfect to show appreciation to the love of your life, to celebrate that moment. Now, Adele, on the other side, assuming she's a two line, thinks, surely me just singing on a stage, people shouldn't pay $2,000 for to listen to me sing for 2 hours. There's millions of singers. Um, all I don't dance, I don't do anything. I just stand there and sing. Why should someone, pay that much? Let me just make it more valuable. So she starts looking around what all the other performers are doing. So, right, I need to show my legs. I need to be in a leotard. I need to have dancers. I need to have bracelets. I need to have this big light show. Now, this person who's bought the tickets comes to the event and it's an absolute circus, right? It completely ruins the experience and it's not something that you would have, to mark your honeymoon with. So that's that's how I see lying to people when they can't accept that they're what's easiest to them, what's most natural, effortless. They would probably even pay to be able to continue to do this thing. That is valuable on its own. It doesn't need all the bells and jingles. And actually, the more stuff you add to it, the more you confuse people.
I feel seen. Can we
Preach.
just pause this so that I can go and check my sales page out? Oi, oi, oi. Yes. Okay. That's good information. So, human design. Are you willing to share some pieces of human design that we can look at ourselves and see where our brand or brand positioning may live? How to do this thing that you're doing?
Absolutely. So, as you probably know, human design, you can get lost in it
Mm.
in so many nuances. But in terms of practically using this for your business, there's four core pieces that I look at. So first is your profile. This is how you project yourself into the world, and it's the number one um, filter through which people either hear you clearly or don't. And actually, as a reflector, the way I experience people when they talk or when they show up in the world is that when someone is out of alignment, whatever they say, there's like there's like a second line of screeching. So that's like very evident for me, just in day-to-day life. And then at the same time, when you have someone who's like fully being themselves, it's like this beautiful hum, that's just like harmonizing with whatever it is that they're saying. And then there's a third category of people who I just, I can see their mouth moving, but there's no one home. Like they're either hiding so much or they've been so disconnected from um, expressing themselves. They've been so suppressed that they look normal. They go about regular life, interacting. They're funny. They're this, they're that. But it's like noise comes out, but there's no one projecting that from the inside. There's no one. It doesn't have like soul to it. Um,
Before you go further, can we talk about profile a little bit?
yes, absolutely.
Because I think it's my favorite thing too. I don't know if you know that, but I just delivered a masterclass that was mostly about profile. And my belief is that we are most conditioned away from the things we're most here to be, and that profile is the most massive part of that. So, what is your experience of? I think that's fascinating about the reflector piece, that you can actually hear the dissonance. What else can you say to profile? I know that's a big topic, but I just think people here, our listeners, can really grab onto their profile, and they may not be doing that in their business right now.
Yeah. So it's a big part of the frequency with which you're putting yourself out there. And as I was saying before, that 96% of communication is nonverbal. This frequency either is clear, so it impacts people the right way, or it repels people. And as you were saying, Vicky, the profile is one of the places that people have been conditioned the most not to fully lean into. For example, myself as a fifth line growing up, a lot of times I would say something without even thinking, it would just roll off my tongue. And I get this massive reaction, like
Mm-hmm.
angry reaction from people, and learned to hold back my, controversial opinions or um, be overly analytical of what I say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure for other profiles as well, um, is very similar, where leaning into your most natural way of expressing yourself has either been associated with shame or like guilt or some sort. Like, why you gotta be so loud? Like, why are you so quiet? Why do you need
Mm-hmm.
so much time to yourself? Like, just go out and play with this kid. Just go out and network. Whatever it is. Why do you gotta be so smart? Why do you know it all? Why can't you just follow steps normally? Why you gotta bump into everything? Um, yeah, and it's a massive key into cleaning out, clearing out the frequency with which we're putting out our message.
I love that. And so much part of how we show up is our profile. You said something to me a long time ago. You probably don't even remember it, but something about, yeah, the get ready with me is never going to work for me as a fifth line. But I think that we've pigeonholed people in business into here's the way you do it. You have to show yourself getting ready. You have to build a community. Memberships are where it's at for recurring revenue, but it's not going to fit every profile.
Yeah, exactly. And well, we learn one way or another. Some people naturally know that, oh no, I couldn't do that. I feel like the more openness you have, the more um, you have to learn by the opposite. You have to learn by doing something and feeling how unnatural unnatural it is to you,
Mm.
and then learning that way. Um, yeah,
Okay. So what about the other three pieces in human design that you would suggest people lean into?
sure. So um, the next piece is your type, and this comes into play more into um, how you run your business day to day, as well as how you show up with clients. Then we have your tribe, which is um, the line of your north nodes, of
Mm.
the nodes.
Mhm.
And then finally, we have the incarnation cross.
Mm.
So this just gives a context within which our activities are happening. For myself, for example, I have the left angle cross of refinement. So um, bringing that energy, having that energy as like sort of the background frequency to my life as I move through different stages, um, is a key part of my work. And understanding that is gonna um, give you the courage to show up in your work more boldly.
I can see that incarnation cross in everything you do. And I can see how it layers on the reflector piece in the 5-1 because it's all about the nuances, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So where can people find you if they want to get into your world?
sure. So for people who are interested in working on their positioning, I created a free framework. I created a framework that I'm sharing for free that people can access, go through the process, and implement it for their business. That's available. I'll give Vicky the link to put in the show notes. Um, it's it's my main framework for that I use for working on someone's positioning, and there's enough value there that you can just take it and apply it for yourself. And if you need more help than that, I'm happy to work with you.
Okay. I can't believe you're giving that for free. I've been through it and I'm like, he's giving that for free? Really? That's amazing. Thank you for
Yes,
that.
I want more people to um, realize what their genius is and be able to articulate it. As I was saying before, we are all a very essential piece of the puzzle. But when we start copying each other, when we try to emulate what somebody else does, it doesn't do anyone any favor, and it actually limits the role that we came here to play. So the more people that are clear about what they bring to the world and how to clearly communicate that in their business, the better we all are off.
Thank you for that. So David's brand is David Reflects Genius. And we'll link that up in the show notes so that you can get that free resource and start to work on your own brand positioning. It's really an important piece of building your business. It's how you're going to be able to stand out and make the money that you're here to make so that you can have the impact you're here to have. And we're also going to link up. He has a new Instagram account where he's going to be sharing things that help you to position your brand, position your irresistible brand using your
That's
human
it.
design and other talents. Yeah. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Vicky, and thanks everyone for listening.